I think
very
I think
incorrectly. Pardon?
Yeah, the live streaming has started.
Yeah.
So I think we can begin the program.
Yes. Yes.
We'll chat later.
Yeah.
So Namaskar, welcome to Bharat Forum Online Plenum. Today we are going to discuss about a book, a recently released book and very interesting book based on history. It is titled as A Never-Ending Conflict, Episodes from Indic Resistance. That's the book. And it is written by author Amit Agarwal. It's a second book. His first book was Swift Horses and Sharp Swords. That he released about a year and a half back. That again is a very interesting book based on history. So the book actually talks about 5 blood-curdling tales from history, from resistance, the Indic resistance. The first one deals with Alexander at the time when Alexander invaded India and its lasting impact, like when he met the rishis and other sages who were well versed in Hinduism and all the Vedas and all those things, his interaction and its impact on India and the world, totally. So it talks about that. And the second part talks about Vijayanagara kingdom. We all know Vijayanagara kingdom was really the epitome of Hindu Rajya, right? We had great contributions in the field of art, architecture, spirituality, everything. And other than being a region which could really beat back the sultanates there. Island, you can say a Hindu island surrounded by sultanates. So Amit ji in his book, he talks about how the Vijayanagara kingdom, because of its geographical position, faced the onslaught of the sultanates together, and hence it ended up in the downfall of the kingdom itself, Vijayanagara. So he gets into it very in depth. He talks about it in depth, and then of course he talks about the Assam as the great Assamese warrior Lachit Barphukan, who beat back the Mughals. In fact, Assam was the only region which was never conquered by the Mughals. The Islamists could never conquer that region. So it's a very important area which our historians never tell you the story about. You will never find them in history books. Of course, these days now the present government has come up with a new curriculum, and they're trying to get in all these chapters and back in history. And then, of course, there's a whole lot of things that is going on. Even after 7 years, they're trying. Let's hope it gets done. So then he talks about Kohinoor. Now, Kohinoor, we know it's the greatest jewel, like the greatest jewel in history. So in 3,000 years of history, whoever holds Kohinoor always faced a lot of bad luck. That is quite famous about it, and bad wars and lot of gory violence that came with it. So Amit ji talks about that in his book. And then, of course, the Khilafat movement. Actually, the Khilafat movement was started from India to get back the Ottoman Empire, which was sacked by the British. So it was not actually a Khilafat, but a Khalifat. A reinstation of the Caliphate. That is what the movement was about. And what it brought to India was mayhem, complete massacre of Hindus. We had 1 lakh people dying, Hindus dying, several thousands and lakhs of women being raped in the most horrific manner, and 10 lakhs of them literally being they were lost. Nobody could know what happened of them. So it's a sordid saga. I mean, that was a very, very bad case. And of course, we all know that M.K. Gandhi was the one who promoted that Caliphate movement, and that was a sad part, and extremely sad part. And he had some very bad things to say when people pointed out about the misery Hindus went through it. So even Ambedkar was saying, had lot of things to say about it then. So this book presented by, it is based on authentic data, a well-researched and authentic data. It traces how our ancestors fought very bravely to protect dharma. They even put their livelihoods on stake, their lives on stake and their livelihoods on stake. They sacrificed a lot for us to remain Hindus. So he analyzes this, and then of course these books are available in Amazon. And now about briefly about the author Amit ji. Amit Agarwal ji is an engineer from IIT Roorkee. He's currently working in prestigious Maharatna Oil PSU. He takes his time out for subjects that he's passionate about. As you can see, history is one of his very favorite subjects. Although he's an engineer, he got into reading history, and now we have two good books to read about, which of course are people like Romila Thapar and Irfan Habib have been hiding from us all these years and brainwashing us. So his other earlier book was, as I told you before, it is Swift Horses and Sharp Swords. And this book is The Never-Ending Conflict. So he is also an avid marathoner, and he has run multiple marathons of 42 kilometers. He's trekked to the Everest base camp too. So he's a sports person, as you can see. I mean, sports person have put perseverance. I know that personally. So in his spare time, he also teaches maths to underprivileged students. So thereby he does his social service, and of course his contribution to Dharma is by bringing out these facts of history to all of us. So welcome to you, Amit ji, and please begin with your presentation about the book. The floor is all yours.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much about the nice introduction of me. So I think I will not get the sleep today after hearing such a nice introduction. So actually, yeah. Shall I start the presentation?
Yeah, sure, Amit.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. So these are my three babies. The first one was Swift Horses, Sharp Swords. It was published in the English language, and then I have translated, and I and my wife has translated it to Hindi. Mm-hmm. And then Never Ending Conflict has been just released. It has been published by Garud Prakashan and is now available in Flipkart and also on the Amazon and also on the Garud site. So I think, I hope that all will read my books and get the knowledge about our glorious ancient times. And I have written about these books basically to where we excelled and where we faltered also. So because it is very important to know what are our strengths and what were our weaknesses. Because when you read my books, you will find that the conditions which was existing 1300 years back, it is still existing. So the invaders who were behaving around 700 AD are also, they have not changed an iota. So neither we have changed. So their behavior is same and our behavior is same. In any other game, it would have been a very easy task to subjugate any opponent when you know about him. He is not changing his strategy, but still for the past 1300 years we are fighting with them, and but we have not lost so far. So we are the only polytheistic and as they say, a pagan civilization, though this is a dirty word, so which is existing in the world. We are the sole one. All the glorious civilizations like Egyptian, Greek, Mayan, Inca, all have been lost by these two Abrahamic religions. Only one Indian or Hindu civilization is standing. So they have basically they are very impatient. Yeah, how come we are standing and all have been subjugated? So you can find that now there's a newfound fighting, newfound conflict between the different religions in India. So this is all visible nowadays. And after, especially after the advent of social media, this has now come to the fore. पहले ये कुछ दबा हुआ था, अभी अचानक जो है वो we can see that it is affecting our daily life also. So during this book talk, I will examine those conditions and how to fight back. The most important is how to fight back. We have new tools of social media. We have to utilize them, like we are doing the book talk. This is basically a fight which we are giving back to them. So that our fight, we are not a walkover. It's not a cakewalk for them. So I will start with a couplet. इतिहास के पन्नों में युद्ध भी है, बुद्ध भी है, राग भी है, द्वेष भी है. This is my favorite couplet. It says कि in the history, there's a Buddha also, which is a symbol of peace, and there's a war also. So the message is that without Buddha, without war, Buddha is not possible. So both coexist. Buddha also coexist and war also exists. Without one, another is not possible. So if you want the peace, you have to be prepared for the war. You have to be prepared for the battle, and for that you have to be powerful. So there's a very famous lines: those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. So that's why studying history is very important. So you have to see what you have done it in the past, what mistakes you have done, what good things you have done, and how those mistakes are not to be repeated. So that is the basically take away from the history. That is why history has to be taught. History has to be learned. It has to be imbibed. So I think history is a very important subject, as important as maths or science. Because you see, in the ancient times, we were excellent in maths, science, literature, arts, but we were somehow weak in the military affairs. So we could not. हम लोग बहुत ज्यादा वो नहीं कर पाए उसमें, मिलिट्री मैटर्स में बहुत ज्यादा हम एक्सेल नहीं कर पाए. हमारी जो टेक्नोलॉजी थी, हमारी जो साइंस थी, जो मिलिट्री में होनी चाहिए थी, वो हम वहां पे हमारा फोकस नहीं था. So that's why invaders thought that we are a soft state. We are rich yet a soft. So they know that the return on investment on their expeditions, on their raids, is very, very high. Sometimes it was up to 10 also ROI, that is called return on investment. In the first book I have written, when Muhammad bin Qasim invaded Sindh, so he has spent 6 million dirhams on that expedition, but he took more than 12 millions back. So it was double ROI. And for the Mahmud Ghaznavi and Gori, it was multiple times. So we have to see our borders are safe and secure, and we should be militarily very advanced. So up to we can see till 1971 or 1990, we were very lack in the military affairs also. So हमारा जो Kargil war हुआ, so we have a one gun only before, which saved us. Otherwise, अगर वो नहीं होती तो it would have been lost. So that's why we have to be very careful that we are upgraded on the military equipment. So next is why I wrote the book. What is the purpose of this book? So as I have discussed is, the most of the of us are taught left liberal content of NCERT books. So every day you can see somebody or else pointing out about the NCERT book, how they are anti-Hindu basically. They glorify the invaders. The whole history books I remember is about sultanates, Lodi, Tughlaq, Akbar, Babar, Jahangir, and 1 or 2 chapter about Ashoka or Chandragupta Maurya. and one about the Cholas. Nothing else. Nothing about Assam. Nothing about like Vijayanagar. There are no stories about them. So basically NCERT books are also Delhi centric, as people say. कि उनका जो है जो दिल्ली के चारों तरफ जो राजा थे उन्हीं के बारे में है, बाकी इंडिया तो उसमें है ही नहीं. So I have tried to rectify this narrative. It should not be Delhi centric. So I have incorporated the stories of Assam. I have incorporated the story of Vijayanagar. I have incorporated the story of Alexander. So like that. And in the chapter of Kohinoor and Khilafat, the whole India has been captured. कहाँ पे क्या क्या हुआ. So I have also examined the meteoric rise in the ancient era and then a swift decline in medieval and modern times. So I have in my first book I have incorporated a chart by Agnes Madison. He was an economist, and he told that after around 17th century we were contributing 25% of the GDP of the world. So even America today is not contributing as that much what we were contributing in that time. So despite being so rich, why we have subjugated, why we have been invaded, all these factors I have tried to incorporate. So because of these left liberal content, most of our children are having a negative thoughts about our religion. वो कहते हैं कि हम तो हमेशा हारे, हमारे पास हमेशा इन्वेजन हुआ. और इसके बाद जो है एक आर्यन इन्वेजन थ्योरी भी इन लोगों ने डाल दी कि अब जो हमारा जो उद्गम है, हमारा जो बर्थ है, वो भी कहीं और से आर्यंस आए, उन्होंने कर दिया. तो बेसिकली हमारी कोई एग्जिस्टेंस नहीं है, हमारी कोई आइडेंटिटी नहीं है. सो हमारे बच्चे ऐसे ही हो रहे हैं, तभी वो सेकुलर हो जा रहे हैं वो. और वो कहते हैं कि मुस्लिम्स बढ़िया हैं, क्रिश्चियंस बढ़िया हैं, और वी डोंट हैव एनीथिंग ऑन आवर ओन. सो आई हैव ट्राइड टू रेक्टिफाई ऑल दीज थिंग्स. So I have incorporated what exactly where we have made the mistakes, and what were our follies, so that it has not been repeated, and make people aware that invaders had no cakewalk. We have resilient, we have repelled them many times, like Lakshit Barphukan, Krishnadev Rai of Vijayanagar, and in the first book I have made a list of at least 13 to 14 Hindu kings of the north and northwestern part, who had repelled the Arabs, who had repelled the Turks from 7th to 11th century. Okay, and the last but not least, and the most important, that telling the people of current generation that similar conditions still exist. What were before 1300 years before, they are still there, and we are still fighting the same battles, we are still fighting the same wars. So I have both the books. I have tried to keep the book interesting. So I have tried that it should enough stories should be there. It should be fast paced. It should not go to very details. Like बहुत सारी जो books होती हैं बहुत detailing होती है, उसमें scholarly type होती हैं, जिसमें जो beginners हैं, जो बाकी लोग हैं, वो बोर ना हो जाएं. So I try to keep it that my books are interesting to read. So I have it's written in simple English, fast-paced, crisp, engaging manner, and I have tried to incorporate maps, drawings, tables, so that people can easily understand the concepts. So the current book has, as I have said, the 5 chapters are there. One is Alexander's interaction with sadhus, Lachit Barphukan of Assam, Vijayanagar Empire, how it was a bulwark of Hindu kingdom against the Bahmani sultanates of the Deccan, and then the journey of Kohinoor. So I will talk briefly about the Alexander interaction with sadhus. So when Alexander came and he fought with the Porus, so it is not written in the history books, but the Porus was a king of very small province of Punjab, between the Indus and Lahore, you can say. So of that province, he was there, and he gave the very good fight to Alexander, and he could barely win. And many historians even say that Alexander could not win; he was defeated. But that is not a proven thing. So I can say that he barely won. because the main king was the Magad king. Nandas was the main king of the India who was ruling from the Patliputra, and their boundaries was still, he was the neighbor of basically Porus. So that's why Alexander had to return back. So after the war, he interacted with the sadhus, and sadhu tried to give them the spiritual knowledge of India, but he could understand, but he could not imbibe कि वो यहाँ पे वो हम लोग वो क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं. तो both could understand each other but could not imbibe. So he went back, Alexander went back, and the conversation I have written, so it's a small story, so it's a very interesting story. So it brings out the essence of our Hindu dharma, कि हमारे जो knowledge थी, हमारी जो knowledge systems हैं वो कैसे थे वो, and how even Alexander was impressed. So the next story was of sorry. So the story of Vijayanagar Empire, it was in North Karnataka basically. It started from the North Karnataka, and it stretched up to the south of Kerala. It encompassed Kerala also, present Kerala also, Tamil Nadu also, Andhra also, and its boundary sometimes reached the Orissa also. So it was, and on the north of it there were 4 sultanates. बहामनी सल्टनेट्स उनको बोलते हैं. बिदार की थी और एक बिरार था, उसमें एक गोलकुंडा सल्टनेट थी. So they keep on fighting with the Vijayanagar. So Vijayanagar was a very rich kingdom at that time in 15th century. तो उसमें जो पोर्टुगीज उस समय आ गए थे, वास्को डी गामा वाज द नेबर बेसिकली, गोवा का में था उनका. तो वो दे यूज्ड टू बी एम्प्लॉयड इन द विजयनगर आर्मी. दे सप्लाइड द हॉर्सेस टू द विजयनगर, दे सप्लाइड द कैनन्स टू द विजयनगर. And they have written about कि विजयनगर was so rich. उनके जो वहाँ पे बाजार थे उसमें हीरे और जवाहरात जो है खुलेआम बिकते थे, विदाउट एनी आर्मी, विदाउट एनी सोल्जर्स. ऐसा कभी कहीं पे उन्होंने देखा नहीं. तो बहुत सारे ट्रैवलर्स उस समय आए, उन्होंने ऐसा लिखा. So it was founded in the 14th century, 1336. The capital was Hampi, and Hampi is a very dharmic place, we can say in our dharma. Half the Ramayana was happened in the Hampi. किष्किंधा जो पर्वत है जिसमें हम बोलते हैं कि जहां हनुमान जी थे, सुग्रीव और बाली, वो सब जो सुंदर कांड हुआ वो सब यहाँ हम्पी में ही हुआ. दैट्स व्हाई दे हैव मेड द कैपिटल हम्पी. उन्होंने अपनी कैपिटल बनाई विजयनगर एम्पायर में. जो फाउंडर थे हक्का और बुक्का, क्योंकि ये बहुत धार्मिक है, इसमें बहुत सारी पॉजिटिव एनर्जी थी उसमें आदि रामायण यहाँ पे हुई थी. तो उन्होंने कहा कि यही दिस इज द बेस्ट प्लेस. सो मैंने लिखा हुआ है कि उसमें कि हाउ द विजयनगर एम्पायर वाज फाउंडेड, how Tughlaq first attacked the Vijayanagar, and how they have re-established the kingdom, and how it had grown from scratch to the richest city of the world. It was the richest city in the 15th century, or second richest maybe. So it was because they were surrounded by the Muslim sultanates. So there was a recurring battles, recurring wars. They used to raid the borders of the Vijayanagar Empire, and they used to loot the people, and they took back the well to the Golconda, जो present Hyderabad है या present जो है महाराष्ट्र है, साउथ महाराष्ट्र, वहां पे अटैक करते थे और वो वापस वहां पे चले आते थे. So that's why the most strong king was the Krishnadev Raya too. So he under his kingdom, it was the richest, it was the most strongest. But after the death of Krishnadev Raya in 1529, the decline began to start. So his son-in-law, Krishnadev Raya's son-in-law, Aliya Ram Raya, he became the king. He did not have a royal blood. The number one reason was that, so the many commanders, many ministers did not trust him कि इसमें का तो royal blood नहीं है, ये son-in-law उसका बन गया तो इसलिए he has become king. So many were become dissidents, and they went elsewhere. Even some of them went to sultanates for the employment. So from there it declined through, and he Aliya Ram Raya became a secular, you can say. He has employed 5,000 to 6,000 Muslim soldiers in his army. So at the time of the war, which happened in 1565, the brutal war, it is called Talikota. Battle of Talikota is near Hampi, 50-60 kilometers away. So at that time, those Muslim soldiers defected to the sultanates. सो दैट्स वाई जो अचानक उनका जो है वो मिलिट्री जो स्ट्रेंथ थी वो कम हो गई. मोस्ट ऑफ द जो सीक्रेट्स होते हैं, मिलिट्री सीक्रेट्स, दे हैव पास्ड ऑन टू द enemies. After the defeat, the Sultanate sacked the city of Vijayanagar, that is Hampi, and it was ransacked. All the temples were destroyed, put on the fire. अगर आप वहाँ हम्पी जाके देखें तो आज भी आपको लगेगा कि ऑल द स्टोन्स आर ब्लैक बेसिकली. वहाँ पे वो अभी भी आप देख सकते हैं इवन आफ्टर 400 years कि वो वैसे ही है, जैसा लगेगा कि आपको ये कि कल जलाया गया है इसको. So that is the sorry state of the Hampi. I have been to there 3 times, and my blood boils after visiting that place. Another of our warrior was the Lachit Barphukan. I was posted in Jorhat in 20 years back, and then I came to know about him. So there was a statue in some park, and it was the plaque of him, and it was written that there lies a brave warrior called Lachit Barphukan. So I was not knowing. I asked my Assamese colleagues about him. So even they did not know about him. So that was the situation. But afterwards, slowly, he has come into the limelight. Now, army has even started a award in his name, Lachit Award. So the best NDA cadet has been given this award, Lachit Award. So during he was the army commander. He was not the king, but the homes came from basically Burma, and they migrated to Assam. So from I think 13th century till 17th century till British came, nobody could rule over them. So many times Mughals attacked them, and the most brutal attack happened at the time of Aurangzeb. So he attacked at least 5 to 6 times. And some say there were 17 battles between the Aurangzeb's army and Ahoms, and only one under Mir Jumla they could win. Otherwise, 16 times Mughals lost. So I have written the detail कि क्या बैटल स्ट्रेटेजी इन्होंने अपनाई इन्होंने. तो उनकी आर्मी लैक्स में थी, इसकी जो है थाउजेंड्स में थी. स्टिल ही आसामीज विन बिकॉज ऑफ द चॉइस ऑफ द बैटल फील्ड. वहां पे बहुत नदियां हैं, अगर आप कभी आसाम जाएं वहां पे. सो ब्रह्मपुत्र इज द मेन रिवर, एंड इन ड्यूरिंग द मानसून वहां पे वो स्वलन आती है, टॉरेंशियल रिवर इट बिकम्स. तो उनके पास उतने इक्विपमेंट नहीं थे, और मानसून टाइम पे जो है वो सब उनके इक्विपमेंट भीग गए, सब खराब हो गए. एंड दे न्यू कि वहां पे क्या होता है. सो दे प्रोटेक्टेड देयर इक्विपमेंट, आसामीज प्रोटेक्टेड देयर इक्विपमेंट, एंड देयर वाज अ नेवल वॉर ओवर द ब्रह्मपुत्र. सो बिकॉज ऑफ दे न्यू देयर स्ट्रेंथ, आसामीज में, अहोम्स में, कि क्या उनकी स्ट्रेंथ है, एंड दे न्यू देयर वीकनेस कि कहाँ पे वो वीक हैं. तो उन्होंने अपनी स्ट्रेंथ पे खेला, वीकनेस को उन्होंने बताया नहीं. उनकी एक अनदर स्ट्रेंथ देयर वाज कि जो आज भी लोग बोलते हैं कि वहां पे आसाम में बहुत काला जादू होता है वहां पे. तो जो औरंगजेब के जो सोल्जर्स थे उसमें बहुत सारे हिंदू भी थे, तो वो जो है वो डरते थे कि वहां पे काला जादू हो जाएगा शाम को. तो लक्षित बरफुकन ने बहुत सारे लोगों को जो है वो भूत बना के या राक्षस बना के उनके कैंप में भेजते थे उनको, ताकि वो लोग डर जाएं. तो इसकी बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी है जो मैंने लिखा हुआ है. तो वो रात में जो है वो लोग निकलते ही थे, जबकि मुगल्स वगैरह का जो है या टर्क्स जो थे उनका एक वो स्ट्रेंथ ये था कि बेसिकली वो कभी भी लड़ते थे, रात में दिन में, उनके लिए टाइम की कोई मैटर नहीं करता था. फॉर अस, फॉर स्पेशली फॉर राजपूत, जो वो धर्म युद्ध में यकीन करते थे, एंड दे फोर्ट ओनली फ्रॉम द सनराइज टू सनसेट. आफ्टर सनसेट दे यूज्ड टू ड्रिंक, दे यूज्ड टू गो टू इवन एनिमीज कैंप ऑल्सो. जब आपस में लड़ते थे वो लोग शाम को जाके साथ में बैठ के ड्रिंक कर रहे हैं कि क्या हुआ, जहाँ चोट तो नहीं लग गई, इस टाइप का होता था. जैसे कि आजकल आप देखते होंगे क्रिकेट मैचेस में शाम को एक दूसरे से मिलते हैं लोग और बातचीत करते हैं कि क्या हमारी गड़बड़ी हुई, क्या हुआ. वैसे ही वहां पे भी था. तो हम लोग धर्म युद्ध के उसमें बहुत ज्यादा बंधे हुए थे कि हमको जो है, जो अनआर्म्ड है, जो इंजर्ड है, उसको नहीं मारना है. तो द बिगेस्ट मिस्टेक वाज डन बाय पृथ्वीराज चौहान in 1192 in second battle of Tarayan, when Muhammad Ghori was lying injured, critically injured. He was lying in the battlefield, और शाम को उन्होंने ध्यान ही नहीं दिया पृथ्वीराज चौहान को. ही वाज कि ये इंजर्ड है, इसको हमें नहीं मारना चाहिए. एंड फिर उसके जो कोलीग्स थे, उसके जो सोल्जर्स थे गोरी के, वो आके उसको वापस गजनी ले गए उसको. एंड फिर वो 6 महीने में ठीक हुआ, एंड देन ही अगेन अटैक. So I think in our history, that is the biggest mistake done by any Hindu king, to leaving Muhammad Ghori alive on that fateful night. so those mistakes were not repeated by the Lachit Barphukan. So उन्होंने जो है रात में भी उन्होंने इस पे अटैक किया, उन्होंने मुगल्स पे, जो अपनी उनकी जो स्ट्रेंथ थी वो प्ले अप करी उन्होंने. So that is the main story of Lachit Barphukan. Then it's a very interesting about कोहिनूर डायमंड की कैसे ये इंडिया में आया. तो इसका जो इसमें भी एक पौराणिक स्टोरी है कि ये बेसिकली जो स्टोन था, ये जो जेम था, ये सूर्य देव का था ये. तो जब सूर्य देव एक बार आए द्वारका के पास में, जब कृष्ण जो है वहां पे थे, तो उन्होंने कृष्ण के जो कजिन थे उनको ये को भेंट किया, उन्होंने ये गिफ्ट किया कोहिनूर, उनकी तपस्या से खुश होके. तो उसके बाद उनके जो कृष्ण के जो यादव डायनेस्टी थी उसमें भी आपस में लड़ाइयाँ हुई आपस में इस कोहिनूर के कारण. फिर जो है वो धीरे धीरे जो है वो यादव के बाद से कैसे भी कहीं जो है वो ग्वालियर में पहुंच गया, तो बहुत टाइम ग्वालियर में रहा. तो इस जो है जो उसकी स्टोरी है कोहिनूर की, ये मैंने लिखी है. और जो हिस्टोरिकली है कि ये गोलकुंडा जो है कृष्ण जो कृष्णा रिवर है वहां से ये माइन किया गया था ये समटाइम्स अराउंड 2000 ईयर्स बैक. एंड कैसे वो ट्रेवल किया, और जैसे आपने बोला इंट्रोडक्शन में कि इट हैज ए कर्स, कि कोई भी इनकॉम्पिटेंट जो है इसको मेल, एंड द कर्स वाज ऑन द मेल्स नॉट ऑन द फीमेल्स. सो जो भी इनकॉम्पिटेंट मैन विल पजेस ही विल बी डिस्ट्रॉयड. सो जितने भी लोगों ने इसको पजेस किया, उसको बाबर ने और नादिर शाह ने, अब्दाली ने, सब लोग बहुत खराब उनकी मौतें हुई हैं, उनकी बहुत ही दर्दनाक उनकी मौत हुई है सबकी. तो दैट्स वाई जो है इंग्लैंड के किसी भी किंग ने या किसी भी क्वीन ने उसको पहना नहीं है उसको आज तक, उसको इस कर्ज के कारण. वो सबने जो है वहां पे रखा हुआ है उनके म्यूजियम में, उनके एक ज्वेल हाउस है वहां पे लंदन में. तो ये कोहिनूर की एक स्टोरी है. इस समय इसकी वैल्यू राउंड अबाउट 2500 करोड़ है. सिंगल एक जेम है इस समय, सिर्फ ये अभी 90 कैरेट्स का है. पहले इट वाज अराउंड 200 कैरेट्स. उन्होंने उसको तराश के, ब्रिटिश ने उसके अंदर कुछ उन्होंने बोला कि एक कुछ इम्प्योरिटी है, तो उन्होंने उसको उसको तराश के उसको 90 कैरेट का कर दिया उसको. तो दैट्स व्हाई इट्स वैल्यू हैज गॉन डाउन, अदरवाइज इट कुड हैव बीन मच मोर. तो अभी कोहिनूर को क्लेम करते हैं इंडिया, पाकिस्तान, अफगानिस्तान, ईरान, ये सारे कंट्री इसको जो है वो इसको क्लेम करते हैं कि ये हमें जो है मिलना चाहिए कोहिनूर, इस पे हमारा अधिकार है इसमें. तो डेविड कैमरून अभी 2-3 साल, आई थिंक 5 years बैक ही केम टू इंडिया. तो उन्होंने क्या बोला कि अगर हम कोहिनूर दे देंगे तो हमारा फिर बाकी लोग भी आर्टिफैक्ट्स, दे विल आस्क फॉर द आर्टिफैक्ट्स, तो देन ब्रिटिश म्यूजियम विल बी एम्प्टी. So that's why they did not want to give anything. So many people say the British Museum and American Museum and other European museums are basically chor bazaars. So they have taken the artifacts from India, from the Egypt, from the Greece. So इन 3-4 कंट्री से जो है वो सारे उठा के ले गए हैं, और सेपरेट गैलरीज हैं वहां पे. इवन ब्रिटिश म्यूजियम में जो अमरावती है आंध्र प्रदेश में, वहां से जो बुद्ध की मूर्तियां और बुद्ध के स्तूप वो सब उठा के वो ले गए हैं वो लोग वहां पे. तो उसकी एक अलग गैलरी है ब्रिटिश म्यूजियम में अमरावती की. तो इस समय जो है कम से कम आई थिंक 1 से 2 लाख जो हमारे आर्टिफैक्ट्स हैं, जो हिंदू और बुद्धिस्ट और जैन आर्टिफैक्ट्स जो सिर्फ लंदन में ही हैं उनके ब्रिटिश म्यूजियम में. बाकी जो न्यूयॉर्क का जो म्यूजियम है उनकी तो हम बात ही नहीं करते हैं, या पेरिस का जो म्यूजियम है. अगर आप पेरिस में जाके लूवर म्यूजियम में जाएं तो वहां पे भी आप देखेंगे कि कितने सेपरेट गैलरीज हैं इंडिया के लिए. एंड यू विल टेक ए डे, होल डे टू ट्रेवल दैट पार्ट ओनली. And the last and was the story was of खिलाफत मूवमेंट. तो ये मेरी सबसे इसमें जो है ये लार्जेस्ट स्टोरी है. इट रन्स अराउंड 150 पेजेस, क्योंकि इसका जो मटेरियल है वो ऐसे ही है इसमें. तो ये इट स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम द 15th सेंचुरी, कि कैसे जो खलीफा थे वो क्या उनका कॉन्सेप्ट है. जब उनके प्रॉफिट जो मोहम्मद थे वो उसके बाद जब वो चले गए तो जो पॉलिटिकल पावर थी, जो रिलीजियस पावर थी, वो कैलिफ्स के पास में आ गई. खलीफा जिसको बोलते हैं अरेबिक में, और इंग्लिश में बोलते हैं कैलिफ. तो वो पहले अरब में थी, उसके बाद वो बगदाद चली गई, उसके बाद वो कैरो चली गई, उसके बाद वो जो है वो टर्की में चली गई, जो इसको ऑटोमन्स बोलते हैं. तो ये ट्रैवल करते रहे इनका, जिसके पास भी इस्लामिक पावर थी उस समय. तो एट द टाइम ऑफ 1920 वर्ल्ड वॉर हो चुका था उसमें, और टर्की लॉस्ट द वर्ल्ड वॉर. जो पावर्स थी उसके अगेंस्ट में था, ये सेंट्रल पावर में था. ये इट conspired with the Italy and Germany, और उनके ब्रिटिश और अमेरिका के अगेंस्ट में था ये। तो इसमें टर्की लॉस्ट एंड टर्की वाज बाइफर्केटेड। तो जो इनका अरेबिक जो अंपायर था वो अलग कर दिया गया, जो इजराइल था वो अलग कर दिया गया, जो इजिप्ट था अलग कर दिया गया। सो एंड कैलिफ वाज रिमूव्ड। सो उसमें इंडियन मुस्लिम्स को बहुत प्रॉब्लम थी कि ये हमारा जो खलीफा है, इट इज अवर ही इज द सिंबल ऑफ इस्लामिक पावर ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड। तो उसकी आप बेइज्जती कर रहे हैं, यू आर टेकिंग अवे द डिग्निटी ऑफ द कैलिफ। सो दे हैव स्टार्टेड ए खिलाफत मूवमेंट कि खलीफा को रिस्टोर करना है, टू रिस्टोर द ग्लोरी ऑफ द खलीफा। तो इसको इसलिए खिलाफत का नाम दिया गया। तो स्टार्टिंग में जो है खिलाफत में था, इसमें इन्होंने गांधी एंड कांग्रेस सपोर्टेड इट बिकॉज दे वांटेड कि जो इंडिपेंडेंस स्ट्रगल है वो उसमें हिंदू मुस्लिम एक होने चाहिए, उनकी यूनिटी होनी चाहिए ताकि वी कुड गेट द इंडिपेंडेंस सून। बट गांधी का बहुत सेकुलर वो था उसमें, वो और बहुत स्लो चलते थे वो, जो मुस्लिम्स को पसंद नहीं आया। फिर चौरी चौरा की जो इंसिडेंट थी, so he took the non-cooperation movement back. So non-cooperation movement was also running simultaneously. So he took the back and he asked the Khilafat movement was run by two brothers, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. So he asked ki such violence has occurred and you should not go with the Khilafat movement and you should stop temporarily at least. But they did not listen and they started they continued the movement. But non-cooperation movement was stopped. So from there the gulf has started between the two. पहले भी गलत थी, अब जो कुछ साल के लिए, 1-2 साल के लिए there was a certain bonhomie between the two communities. But उसके बाद जो है वो खत्म हो गई and riots started all over the India. केरला में मोपला riots हुआ वहां पे, जिसमें around 10,000 or 15,000 Hindus were killed in 5-6 months. British did not do anything. Similar riots happened in Kanpur. Similar riots happened in Agra, in Northwest, in Sindh, और जो बलूचिस्तान और जो इस समय NWFP जिसको बोलते हैं, नॉर्थ वेस्ट फ्रंटियर प्रोविंस, आई थिंक उसका नया नाम अभी आजकल पाकिस्तान ने इट हैज खैबर पख्तूनवाला। So all the riots have started and the Hindus started migrating to the present UP, Haryana and Punjab. वहीं तभी माइग्रेशन शुरू हो गया वहां पे। And then it degenerated. So earlier Jinnah was also against the Khilafat movement. He was with Congress, but seeing this movement, the progress of the movement, he joined hands with the Khilafat, and then Pakistan का जो है वो शुरू हो गया। फिर ultimately Pakistan was formed. He took the birth, and then again war has happened. और फिर कैसे नेशनल इंटीग्रेशन हुआ, जो स्टेट्स का इंटीग्रेशन हुआ था, हाउ पटेल helped and how KM Munshi helped. There were many provinces which did not want to go ahead with the India, like Junagadh tha, Hyderabad tha. They did not want to go with India. तो वो कैसे पटेल ने और KM मुंशी ने उसको इंटीग्रेट किया इसको, तो that's a very interesting story. और कैसे फिर साथ में कैसे वाटर्स का जो है, इंडस वाटर का जो 5 रिवर्स हैं, उसको कैसे वाटर्स का जो डिवीजन हुआ, the 80% water has to be given to the Pakistan of the Indus River even now. So अगर कोई चाहे, if there's any powerful Prime Minister of India, he can always make a dam on Indus and stop the waters to the Pakistan. In Pakistan, it won't survive for 2 months if we stop the Indus water. In fact, जो सतलज का water था वो in 1948 Punjab government has stopped. And there was a crisis in Pakistan in 1948 in Lahore, और जो उसके downstream जो cities थे वहाँ पे सूखा पड़ गया, people started dying, and this was without the knowledge of Nehru. But when Nehru came to know कि ये पानी रोक दिया गया है सतलज डैम से, then he got angry कि कैसे आपने without my permission it was stopped. So after his pressure जो है उसको restart किया गया. So that is the story. So we have many strengths which we don't know, like the water of these rivers. So 5 रिवर हमारे पंजाब से जाती हैं या कश्मीर से जाती हैं. We can always stop them. लद्दाख में हम स्टॉप कर सकते हैं, लद्दाख में हम डैम बना सकते हैं. But for the past 70 years, nobody was so strong कि इस विषय में कुछ सोचें. Even in 2016, our Prime Minister Modi has hinted that we can stop the Indus River. But there was an international repercussion. सब लोग बोलने लगे, अमेरिका, इंग्लैंड, कि this is not in accordance with the Indus Water Treaty. You should not do it. So he did not do anything. So, but what my point is, कि instead of focusing on solely on the military matters, we can also think on making the dams. And Ladakh is the best place. Ladakh में जो है बहुत ज़्यादा वो torrential river नहीं है उसमें, वहाँ पे डैम बनाना बड़ा आसान है वहाँ पे. So that is my view, and it's a very tricky subject actually. और फिर कैसे वो even after जो खिलाफत मूवमेंट के repercussion है, it still continues. Even in 1971 war, in Bangladesh war, we basically अभी तक I think last 50-60 years में हम जो है या तो हम 1971 का वॉर ही एक ऐसा है which we have won comprehensively. We captured the 93,000 soldiers, but we somehow जो है हमने उनको छोड़ दिया. We have flown the special VIP planes and took them to Lahore. So Indira Gandhi was the main instrument in this ferrying the soldiers from Dhaka to the Lahore in Air India planes, free of cost. और जब वहां पे वो पहुंचे तो उनको फूल मालाओं से उनका स्वागत किया गया, आरती उतारी गई उनकी. जब वो पहले इंडिया में आए थे, उनका प्लेन पहले इंडिया में भी लैंड किया था, आई थिंक इन कैलकाटा और समवेयर एल्स. तो और our soldiers, our 54 soldiers and spies were in the Karachi jail. उसका हम लोगों ने कुछ वो नहीं किया. 93,000 soldiers we have released in lieu of nothing. हमारे जो soldiers थे, spies थे, सब वहीं जेल में मर गए वो वहां पे, and we did not do anything. In fact, Indira Gandhi went on to gift many Indus Valley artifacts. एक वहां पे आपने देखा होगा कि एक किंग की एक फोटो है जो इट हैज अ स्ट्रॉन्ग रिजेम्बलेंस टू मिस्टर मोदी आल्सो. तो उसको किंग बोलते हैं. तो वो भी हमने उसको गिफ्ट कर दिया पाकिस्तान को, जुल्फिकार अली भुट्टो को. तो एंड इट्स वैल्यू टुडे इज अराउंड 100 crores. वो हमने उसको अननेसेसरली हमने उनको गिफ्ट कर दिया. और कैसे हमने जो है वो उनका डेट था इन 1947, आरबीआई ने उनको बोला कि जो फाइनेंसेस थे वो भी जो है उसको भी डिवाइड करना है. तो गांधी वाज आफ्टर द इंडियन गवर्नमेंट की जो इनका शेयर है 75 crores का इन 1947. 75 crores इज लॉट ऑफ मनी. So Gandhi was after that कि 75 crores should be transferred. So first installment of 25 crores was indeed transferred. Despite कि वो कश्मीर में जो है वो अटैक कर रहे थे वो पाकिस्तानीज, still we transferred. But after Gandhi died, the remaining amount था वो 50 crores का, that was not transferred. That is a saving grace. But in Pakistan's budget, that 50 crores is still there in the receivables. और वो उस पे इंटरेस्ट लगाते रहते हैं 10% का. So I think its amount has gone to the billions now. So all these anecdotes and stories I have incorporated in my chapter, ताकि इंटरेस्टिंग रहे ये सिर्फ कैसे प्ले होता है. तो दैट वाज अ मेन थिंग कि हम 1971 का वॉर जीत के भी एक्चुअली हम हार गए. वी कुड नॉट टेक एनी एडवांटेज ऑफ इट. वैसे तो हम जीते ही नहीं, और कभी जीते भी और इतना कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली जीते तब भी हमने उसका जो जितना भी द एडवांटेजेस द स्पॉइल्स थे वी हैव ऑल स्क्वेंडर्ड basically, and Pakistan won despite losing it. So it's a very strange phenomena. So I have written this in detail. So this we have discussed. So this was all about my book कि वो कैसे conflict जो है. So the title was taken from this, a never-ending conflict. So conflict is going on for the past so many thousand years, and it still continues. So that was from my monologue, you can say. I thought it is interesting. So I will end this presentation with another couplet. किसी ने पूछा युद्ध और बुद्ध तो दो विपरीत ध्रुव हैं. तो मुस्कुराते हुए विराथू ने कहा, विराथू is a Buddhist monk of Burma who died I think last year or 2 years back. So he said युद्ध ना हुआ तो बुद्ध मारा जाएगा. So for the peace you have to be very strong, you have to be prepared for the battle. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amitji. It was a very wonderful presentation. As you spoke about Viratuji, same thing even Benjamin Netanyahu now said last year when there was a conflict, between the Palestine and Israel. He said if the Arabs give up arms, there would be peace. But if Israel gives up arms, there would be no Israel and no Jew existing.
Yes.
And that is the truth even for Hindus here in India.
Exactly.
Amit ji, we will take questions from the audience, but before that, I would like to ask you one question. Just as you said, like right after Krishna Devaraya, when his son-in-law succeeded, many from our side went from here and joined the Sultanate people. So my question to you is, did we actually ever understand the nature of Islam? Ever? Did our leaders, even our historical leaders, ever understand the nature of Islam? Because what if they had, they wouldn't have done that. I mean, that, and having lots of, and in this present other king, he brought in many Muslim soldiers. And the same thing happened, if you notice, in Kerala, there was this Pujashi Raja. And of course, he had many Mopla, he had a separate Mopla regiment there. Moplas are nothing but Mapilas. They gave their own daughters, I mean, Hindu daughters, to these Muslim traders. And that's how, Muslims, the demography of Muslims spread in Kerala. I mean, we now talk about sex jihad. There was actually, we were helping in sex jihad. I mean, I would like to say that, and that too by the authoritatively, the king made an order, right? So these are questions that we need to ask. I mean, you as an author of history, I would like you to speak about it. Did our people really know the nature of Islam to deal with it?
No, the answer is no. So no Indian leader has so far understood the nature of Islam. In fact, in the world, only I think China and Israel understood it correctly. So that's why they are safe from this community. And for the past 1300 years, we are fighting with Islam, but we could not understand it. What is it all about? So कैसे वो, because they did not, Islam says that they should not tolerate non-Muslims basically. So by hook or crook, they are to be converted or they are to be killed. So that is the main crux. If somebody understands this, the problem will be solved. So
Yes.
what our leaders did, from the ancient rajas, medieval rajas to our present leaders, वो सोचते हैं कि इन लोगों को जो है हम पुचकार के, हम लोग इनको प्लेकेट करके इनको रखेंगे तो शायद they will be happy, they will be peaceful, but they will not be. So they cannot tolerate us. They hate us. They consider as a very soft state. They consider as a lethargic race. They consider as a effeminate race. जो आपने बोला जो, तो ये सब वो हमको समझते हैं. तो जहाँ पे ये इतनी ज्यादा जो है contradictions होंगे, जहाँ जितना ज्यादा ये अलग अलग होंगे, वहाँ पे there is no chance of peace actually. So only one community can survive in such a scenario. So it's basically a bowl. Our India is nowadays a boiling cauldron basically. इसमें दो community रह रही हैं, दो या तीन community रह रही हैं, and they are fighting with each other constantly without any let up, without any cessation of the hostilities. So ये सब जो है वो चल रहा है. Until now, unless we understand the nature, the winning this fight is very difficult. So as I said in the starting, कि जब तक कि आप अपनी weakness, अपनी strengths, so in management it is called SWOT analysis, SWOT. तो कोई भी कंपनी जब कोई प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च करती है मार्केट में, तो it carries out that SWOT analysis कि हमारी क्या स्ट्रेंथ एंड वीकनेसेस हैं, क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं, और क्या एनिमीज की या कंपटीटर्स की स्ट्रेंथ एंड वीकनेसेस हैं. तो हमें ना तो अपनी स्ट्रेंथ एंड वीकनेसेस पता है, ना ही हमें अपने एनिमी की पता है. तो हम कैसे उस वॉर को जीतेंगे? हम चाहे हमारे पास जितने भी राफेल आ जाएं, हमारे पास कितने भी जो हैं AK-47 या बोफोर्स आ जाएं, अल्टीमेटली जो इंटरनल एनिमी है वहां पे ये सब काम नहीं आएगा. इंटरनल एनिमी आप सिर्फ अपने माइंड से जी सकते हैं, अपनी जो माइंड की स्ट्रेंथ है, जो आपके दिल में जो है, जो कहते हैं वो मोदी जी बोलते हैं 56 इंच की जो सीना है, उसी से आप जी सकते हैं. अदरवाइज जो है वो जीतना बड़ा मुश्किल है.
Amit ji, there's a question from Shankar, Mr. Shankar. Shankar ji, can you please ask your question yourself? Please unmute, come on camera and ask your question yourself to Amit ji. Is he there? Okay. What he said was, he was talking about, okay, I'll put the question to you. He says the challenge is for civil society to deal with a militant faction that militates against all, unlike them, with all tools at hand all the time. We need to develop and deploy a strategy, skills, and tools to neutralize this, its perpetrators. And then he also had a question saying, so he's asking what should be our tools to neutralize this people who are always militant. So, and then he's saying not having a murti or a vigraha for prayer misleads the devotees into mistaking the word of the clergy for that of God, and by extension, clergy as God. So he's asking your opinion on that.
I could not understand last question. Not having a murti or vigraha for prayer misleads the
He
devotee.
is trying to say, I guess, that they take the word of a clergy before them because they consider the clergy as the God, because there is no Allah that can be seen. I mean, they have no murti to pray with. He's saying that. So they take the word of clergy as the voice of God. And so whatever the clergy says, they follow blindly. So that's what he says. And what is your opinion about that? So maybe that is why they are like that. I don't know what is he asking us to become murtiless? I don't know.
So I will start with the first question. The challenge is for civil society to deal with militant faction. So the deal with them is basically only thing is eye for an eye or tooth for a tooth. So that is the only thing which will save us. Gandhi said that eye for an eye will turn the word blind. But my take is that it will at least save us, even though one eye will be gone, but it will save us certainly. So whatever they are doing, we have to do it, because I have written one article for you last week, how they operate. So they have, there is a training session in the name of Bakri. जब वो बकरों को काटते हैं तो उनको खुद काटना होता है, खुद स्किन करना होता है, खुद उनको जो है उसका बीट निकालना होता है. So all this is basically a training session for them. जो वो रमजान में 28 डेज जो है वो जो उपवास रखते हैं, व्रत रखते हैं, वो इसीलिए सनराइज टू सनसेट का, कि जब वो बैटल फील्ड में जाएं वो, तो दे शुड बी एबल टू होल्ड देयर एनर्जी. तब खाना तो उनको सनराइज के पहले ही है, तो उसको उस एनर्जी को कंट्रोल करना, उसकी आदत उनको रहनी चाहिए. तो बेसिकली देयर होल लाइफस्टाइल is for the preparing them for the battles, for the impending battles, for the daily fights. तो उनके पास जो है ये उनका एक उनकी मेंटालिटी भी है, उनकी लाइफस्टाइल भी ऐसी है. एज इन कंट्रास्ट हमारे पास ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. हम ऐसा कुछ नहीं करते हैं कि जो जिसमें हमारे अंदर जो फाइटिंग एबिलिटी आए. हम इनफैक्ट हमें बचपन से ही सिखाया जाता है कि आपको फाइट को अवॉइड करना है. कॉन्फ्लिक्ट अवॉइडेंस इज अवर मंत्रा इन अवर होम्स. हम अपने बच्चों को बोलते हैं कि बेटा लड़ना नहीं है किसी से अननेसेसरली, आप उसको जितना अवॉइड कर सकते हो करो. बट वहां पे ऐसा नहीं है. दे से कि यू हैव टू फाइट एंड यू हैव टू विन. तो ये जो दो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, दो हमारे जो मेंटालिटी में चेंज अंतर है, जो डिफरेंस है, दैट इज बेसिकली डिफरेंस बिटवीन विनिंग एंड लूजिंग. So what is the solution? Basically we have to be like them, we have to be fighter. So we have to learn martial arts basically to in self defense. कि कभी कुछ होता है तो we should be able to protect ourselves, our family, our community. So the martial arts is I think is the first step for protecting us. And fortunately I think community, our Hindi community is uniting. अभी चल रहा है, अभी एक माहौल चल रहा है कि we should be united against them, so we should be fighting against them. So इस तरीके के जब तक हमारे पास tools नहीं आएंगे for self defense, and we have to understand कि the police or the army will not be with us 24 hours. तो वो तभी आ सकते हैं जबकि वो जो इंसिडेंट हो चुकी होगी, वो they will come in the future. The incident will be in the present or in the past. So you are on your own basically. So you have to deploy your whole resources in protecting yourself. तभी हम जी सकते हैं, अदरवाइज जो है वो जीतना बड़ा मुश्किल है इन लोगों से. नंबर 2, अभी जो यहाँ पे द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज कि नॉट हैविंग ए मूर्ति और विग्रह. तो बेसिकली द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द टू इज दैट वी आर द सीकर्स ऑफ द नॉलेज एंड दे आर द बिलीवर्स. तो जो उनकी बुक्स में लिखा हुआ है वो उसी को बिलीव करते हैं विदाउट अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि वो क्या लिखा हुआ है, क्यों लिखा हुआ है. तो वहां पे वो क्वेश्चन नहीं कर सकते आप अपनी बुक्स को. बट हम वी क्वेश्चन अवर बुक्स कि ऐसा क्यों लिखा हुआ है, वेद में ऐसा क्यों लिखा हुआ है, उपनिषद में ऐसा क्यों लिखा हुआ है. तो देयर इज ए ट्रेडिशन ऑफ वाद विवाद करके हम जो है, या फिर जो शास्त्रार्थ होते थे हमारे एंशिएंट टाइम्स में जो हम पढ़ते थे, कि उसमें कि हम अपने उसको उसके जो मर्म है हमारे ग्रंथों का वो हम समझते थे कि ऐसा क्यों लिखा गया है. तो उसके हम इवन अपने भगवान से भी क्वेश्चन कर सकते हैं, हम करते हैं. तो ये हमारे भगवान बहुत एक्सेसिबल हैं, हम उनको जो है फील कर सकते हैं, देख सकते हैं, बट उनके भगवान एक्सेसिबल नहीं है. दे ही समवेयर एल्स, ऑल मर्सीफुल वो कहते हैं वो. तो देयर इज बेसिकली टू मच ऑफ ए डिफरेंस. हम डायमेट्रिकली अपोजिट हैं. सो फॉर अस दे आर एलियन रेस और उनके लिए हम एलियन रेस हैं. तो वो हमको देख के, इनफैक्ट मेरी इस जर्नी में बहुत सारे मेरे दोस्त जो हैं वो मुस्लिम रहे हैं, तो मुझे उनकी पता है कि क्या उनकी मेंटेलिटी होती है उनकी. तो दे हैव टोल्ड मी कि ये होता है. अभी मैं आजकल बॉम्बे में हूँ, तो एक बार क्या हुआ, मैं आपको एक घटना सुनाता हूँ मैं, और आपको पता लगेगा कि वो क्या है वो. तो मुझे अपने गाड़ी के टायर जो है वो चेंज करने थे. तो माई कार वॉज अराउंड 13 ईयर्स ओल्ड. तो 15 ईयर्स में उसको चेंज करना ही होता है कार को. तो 2 साल बचे हुए थे. तो आई आस्क्ड हिम, ही वॉज लोकल ऑफ मुंबई. तो आई आस्क्ड हिम कि मुझे कार के टायर चेंज करने हैं, तो वो बताओ कहाँ पे जा सकते हैं हम. So he said there's a place called nearby place called Kurla. So it's a Muslim dominated community. So he cautioned me कि stick to the main lane, to stick to the main road. Don't go inside the lane. वहाँ बड़े खतरनाक मुसलमान होते हैं. So this is the wording of one Muslim for the another. So आप ये सोच सकते हैं कि क्या है. तो जो ये सिचुएशन है, जो ये मैंने आपको इंसिडेंट बताया, जैसे आई ओपनर बेसिकली उस समय मेरे लिए है.
जी अमित जी, आप बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं. इनफैक्ट दिल्ली में भी ऐसी जगह है. इंडियन एक्सप्रेस का एक जर्नलिस्ट था जो हम जानते थे, एक कार्टूनिस्ट था जानते थे. सो बिकॉज ही वाज अ मुस्लिम हिमसेल्फ, राइट? एंड he himself was going through one of their own colonies, and like वहां पर रात को people did not, because he didn't live there, so people did not know that he is a Muslim. So his card was again, वैसे ही उसका कार्ड चोरी करने के लिए उसका मर्डर कर दिया. ये यहीं पर हुआ था दिल्ली में, in one of those ghettos, you know. So it happens. In fact, none of the auto wallahs or the cabs go in during the after 5 p.m. in those areas. They've told me that directly. नहीं मैडम, हम जाते ही नहीं, आप तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं जाना, और हम भी नहीं जाते, नहीं तो हम जिंदा नहीं बचेंगे वापस. That is there.
यस. एक इंसिडेंट मैं आपको और बताता हूँ कि मेरे कई फ्रेंड्स जो हैं, जो कॉलेज में जो मेरे क्लासमेट्स थे, कुछ सेकुलर भी हैं वो उसमें. तो वो एक बार हम लोग जा रहे थे, दिल्ली से रुड़की जा रहे थे टू आवर कॉलेज. अराउंड 10-15 ईयर्स पहले की बात है ये. तो आई वॉज गोइंग विद हिम. तो वहाँ पे बीच बीच में मुजफ्फरनगर के आसपास मुस्लिम डोमिनेटेड विलेजेस आते हैं. तो वहाँ पे वो उसने कार सडनली जो है बड़ी स्लो कर दी. ही वॉज ड्राइविंग. मैंने कहा क्यों कार स्लो कर दी? तो वो बोलते हैं कि भाई यहाँ पे ये लोग रहते हैं, अगर कहीं कुछ एक्सीडेंट हो गया तो हम बचेंगे नहीं. मैंने उसको बोला कि अभी तक तो बड़ी तारीफ कर रहे थे उनकी, तो सडनली ये डर कहाँ से आ गया? तो ये जो है, ये डाइकोटोमी है. पब्लिक में वो जो है वो बड़ी उनकी प्रेस करते हैं, बड़ा पुचका के रखते हैं, बट प्राइवेटली दे फियर देम.
There's another question for you, Amit ji, from Anne Divakarla. So, Divakarla ji, can you please come and ask the question yourself, or do you want me to ask? I can't see anyone here. Okay, I think I'll put up the question myself. The question is, how do we bring awareness of this terror community to our white community? Many seem to be in ignorant or afraid to hear about this issue. is saying ki how do we make the whites
White
understand
means?
about this.
Is
He's saying whites,
he?
that is the Europeans.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, the UK has now literally become a Muslim nation in many ways.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes.
so
So
he's
I
saying,
don't know about the Europe, but I can certainly say about India. Maybe that lesson will hold true for them also. So for us Indians, for us Hindus, the two methods are basically to एक हाथ में शस्त्र और दूसरे हाथ में शास्त्र. ये अगर है
जी,
तो हम बच सकते हैं. अभी हमारे
जी,
पास दोनों नहीं है. हम शास्त्रों में हम ना पढ़ते हैं, ना हम अपने बच्चों को पढ़ाते हैं, ना हमें पता होता है कि हमारे क्या लिखा हुआ है, हमारे ऋग्वेद में क्या लिखा हुआ है, हमारे यजुर्वेद में क्या लिखा हुआ है, या हमारे उपनिषद में क्या लिखा हुआ है, कितने हमारे महावाक्य हैं, कितने. तो ये सब हमें कुछ पता ही नहीं है. ना हमने कभी रामायण पढ़ी, ना कभी महाभारत पढ़ी हमने. तो हमें अपनी ग्लोरी के बारे में नहीं पता है. अब जो बाकी कमेटी है, कुछ कुछ चीजें उनमें अच्छी भी हैं. लाइक मुस्लिम जो हैं वो फ्राइडे को हमेशा नमाज जाते हैं, वो चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए उनको जाना ही जाना है. क्रिश्चियन जो है संडे को उनको चर्च जाना ही जाना है. हमारे यहाँ ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि हमको मंदिर जाना ही जाना है. हम अगर कभी मंदिर जाते भी हैं तो अपने बच्चों को घर में छोड़ देते हैं कि तुम बैठ के पढ़ो, तुम बस अभी समय टाइम नहीं वेस्ट करना है. एंड वी गो अवरसेल्व्स टू द टेम्पल्स इफ वी गो. So what we have to give कि we have to inculcate the pride among our children कि ये है. We have to tell them कि ये जो है वो हमारी जो ये हमारे शास्त्रों में इतना ऐसा लिखा हुआ है, हमारे इतने एंशियंट नॉलेज सिस्टम्स हैं, हमारी इतनी मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स हैं. अभी मैं कुछ दिन पहले जो हमारी मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट की साइट है, इंडियन आई थिंक मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट करके है, वो उसमें लिखा हुआ है 50 lakhs मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स वर देयर.
yeah,
बहुत सारी तो खत्म हो चुकी हैं. स्टिल जो है गवर्नमेंट के पास 10-15 lakhs मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स हैं. वो तो बाकी पूरे यूरोप में मिला के उतनी मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स नहीं है उनके पास जितनी हमारी अकेले की इंडिया में है इस समय,
जी,
पर्टेनिंग टू हिंदू, बौद्ध एंड जैन्स, इन तीनों को मिला के जो इंडिक जो रिलीजन्स हैं, जो इंडिक संप्रदाय हैं, उनके बारे में. तो वी हैव टू स्टडी देम, वी हैव टू स्टडी व शास्त्र. और उनको हमें अपने बच्चों को पढ़ाना है उनको कि क्या क्या हम लोगों ने किया एंशियंट टाइम्स में. तो ये बेसिकली ये बताना है उनको. और फिर दूसरे हाथ में शस्त्र. शस्त्र का मतलब एक्चुअली नहीं कि आप तलवार लेके निकल पड़े आप. तो मे बी इन द फॉर्म ऑफ मार्शल आर्ट्स. मार्शल आर्ट्स इज इक्वली डेडली, आई कैन से.
yeah,
तो
yeah,
ये दो तरीके हैं जिसमें जिससे जो है वो आपको देखेंगे कि अगर आप ये अपनाते हैं तो विद इन 5-6-10 ईयर्स जो है देयर विल बी ए एप्रिशिएबल डिफरेंस. आपके कॉन्फिडेंस में, आपके प्राइड में, आपकी जो नई जनरेशन आ रही है वो आपको बोलेगी ये कि कैसे जो है वो हम लोगों ने क्या क्या किया. तो ये दो मेथड हैं, शस्त्र एंड शास्त्र, जो है जो हमें बचाएंगे और हमें ऊपर लेके जाएंगे फिर से.
Amit ji, I would like to invite Shobha ji. Shobha ji, very nice to see you and very warm welcome to you.
नमस्कार
And
जी.
namaskar.
Namaskar,
Shobha ji,
Gayatri
please.
ji.
Yeah, it's good to see you here. So Shobha ji herself is a great activist, Hindu activist. So she does so much for our cause, for Dharma.
Okay.
So Shobha ji has a question for you, Amit ji. Please go ahead, Shobha ji.
Namaste, Gayatri ji, and so sweet. You put it all so sweetly, and very much thanks for those kind words of introduction. Itna to karna hai so much, and so nice, Amit ji, to meet with you because I keep reading about you, and I was not able to join a few sessions in between. I had two specific questions, and I'm just being like a solution oriented. So I'm just brainstorming, you can say, because those are the minds here. Now, I know we talk about self-defense in America. There is a lot of discussion about having to, whether to own guns or not, and what will it take for the Indian government to kind of say, our culture is Sanatan Dharma, peace, non-violence. Anytime anyone lifts any kind of weapon, we are not going to tolerate it, and have the police and the military for that to ensure that common people are never even having to be subjected to the stress that somebody is going to attack them. Kyunki, I mean, I speak up, but many times, but there are many people whose hearts are bleeding to see the violence against Hindus in West Bengal post-election, what's happening in Kerala, what has happened in Kashmir. And we are very, literally very pained to see the beheadings going on
Yes.
of Hindus in the name of blasphemy. India is not a Sharia compliant country. We have left it behind, 1,200 years that Mughals ruled. That is done and over with. And how can we tolerate the beheadings? And how can we take it on a very legal, judicial, and a country wise, let alone no religion basis? Nobody should be attacking. You cannot even touch another person and cause harm, physical violence. That should be abhorred. See, and that is one question to see what your mind is thinking to bring. Do you think it is possible? Whether going in that, the world, like you're saying, when India says we are going to cut water because Pakistan is doing cross-border terrorism, I mean, they only expect India to be the big brother. What about Pakistan's role to say we are not going to send terrorists across the border to Kashmir, है ना? Or not even there. They have come across continents. Yahan pe what ISI is trying to do, so many city councils and all that backed resolutions against India. I think, we should really thank you if you're listening. We, the Hindu Americans, thank you because we are so much united now than ever before. So I really thank all the troublemakers, because we are, I think, stronger for that. But so they have done all this globally also. So why expect only India to be always the Shant Doot and then others are doing whatever they want? So that is regarding India. Now, and the beheadings, and I know it's kind of clumped it, but the other one is I want to see what we can do about the Bangladeshi Hindu genocide going on. Every day, we cannot, I mean, at least in India, the majority Hindus, we can at least talk to neighbors and, hey, what is going on and things like that. In Bangladesh, they don't even have that. Yesterday or day before yesterday, a mother was walking with a 10-year-old child back in a village. And then they tried to harass the child, 10-year-old child. She wanted to protect the child. So now they killed the mother. The child fainted. Then they raped the mother, killed her, put her naked in the paddy fields. Is this what Hindus are? Why are Hindus second-class citizens? Why is the world not? This is not the only incident. This has been going on for years and centuries, and we should be ashamed living in modern civil society that we allow this to happen again and again. Whereas American lawmakers are starting resolutions for the fear of genocide against minorities in India. Have you ever seen that? That you pass a resolution in fear of a genocide where no minority is really being even harmed, let alone killed. No, Hindus are not that kind of people because non-violence is in our DNA. But look at what is happening to our Hindus in Bangladesh and Pakistan. So please, your thoughts. And Gayatri ji, she articulates so well. Thanks for making this intellectual forum. I wish more of us could attend. Thank you, Amit ji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shobha ji, for your good question. Very thought-provoking questions. Yes. Amit ji, please go ahead.
So the answer is basically, as I said, the answer is eye for an eye and jaw for a jaw, tooth for a tooth. This will save us. So this is the principle basically which our life should revolve around. So उसके लिए क्या method है? First method I opined about the शस्त्र and शास्त्र. तो दोनों हमारे पास में होने चाहिए. और इसमें शस्त्र जो है वो बड़ा डाइसी वर्ड है, बड़ा मतलब वो है. तो उसके लिए क्या है कि one thing is self defense, another thing is protest on the streets. We Hindus are basically lazy people. That is our weakness basically. हम कुछ भी हो जाए, we don't come on the streets. अभी केरला में कुछ हो जाता है तो 1 वीक से वहां पे प्रोटेस्ट चल रहे हैं बाई PFI. इतना कुछ हुआ, कितनी इतनी बी हेडिंग हुई, इतने रॉयट्स हुए. अभी कभी हम स्ट्रीट्स पे आए, हमने कभी प्रोटेस्ट किया? कांग्रेस जो है वो उनको ईडी ने बुला लिया, उनको तो सड़कों पे आ गए. हम हिंदू मर रहे हैं इंडिया में ही, हम कभी कुछ नहीं करते. वी नेवर कम ऑन द स्ट्रीट्स. So the best possible thing, is the least cost method to come on the streets. If 1,000 or 2,000 people come on the streets to protest against such things, then certainly there will be a change. The politicians will listen, the leaders will listen, the police will listen if something is going on. When Rohingyas are killed in the Burma, there are riots in Bangalore and Bhopal. Why? Because they show their power. कि अगर बर्मा में भी हो रहा है, they will fight for their brethren in Burma. रोहिंग्यास के साथ कुछ हो रहा है, बट हमारे साथ हमारी नेबरहुड में कुछ होता है, we don't care. So my point is, Shastra and Shastra is the best method, and we have to come on the streets for every wrong being done. And about the Bangladesh, I think the street protest is one method to make the government listen. And number two, government has to do something in this. So Bangladesh economy is much dependent on us. उनका जो exports है, उनका बहुत सारा exports हमारे पास आता है, especially in textiles और jutes. वो हम पे dependent है वो. तो I think we can do something. उनकी जो rivers है main हमारी जो वो हमारे यहाँ से होकर जाती है, ब्रह्मपुत्र and Ganga. So like Indus, we can also make a dam in Assam over the Brahmaputra and Bihar में हम एक dam बना सकते हैं. So there are myriad methods, there are various methods which we can control our enemies. तो जरूरी नहीं है मैं fight करना. There are hundreds of other methods. हम उनके बे ऑफ बंगाल में हमारा अंडमान निकोबार है, हम उस पर रूल करते हैं. तो उनके शिप जो एक्सपोर्ट आते हैं वही हम अगर 10 दिन के लिए रोक लें तो उनकी इकोनॉमी खतरे में आ जाएगी. So these are the methods, as you said, and these are non-violent methods. In any pretext, you can do these things. So the signal will go that we are the strong in each and every way, and we can control them, we can subjugate them, we can destroy them without even fighting, without even taking gun in our hand. So, but I think this has to be a matter the politicians has to take. These are the decisions. But if we protest,
agree. That's very good thoughts, Amit ji. Really, we look forward to people like you, Pushpendra Kulshrestha ji. Those kind of people. If you can, do you think now it's time for a Hindu consortium like that to kind of let the Hindus from different cities, like to say, hey, because we want to try the non-violence way first. We have not yet tried that enough. Self-defense is great. I'm not saying anything against us because we are not there in every gully. At the same time, the government can bring about ordinance saying, just defang everybody. And they should have the power to go search in any place that they think, there could be weapons hid. Right now, they caught about 11,000 Pichwa, the knives, Rampuri knives that were made in China and were imported to India. So they caught that whole thing. It's about 12,000 knives, bulk order. Why is it coming into the country, right? So those kind of things, and I think it needs a law. Do you think, or we should, I'm sure we can discuss later, but if we can set up kind of a subcommittee so that it covers the entire region so that we could really nudge people, Hindus, to come on. Otherwise, the situation, peace is very good. Peace is so important. Only then progress is possible, right? So that is why we look up to leaders like you. That way, if you can put up a team and guide, we are happy to support from here. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. Thank you, Gayatri.
Thank you so much, Shobhaji. Thank you for those kind words. And but I would like to add one thing. There is no lasting peace without war. I mean, that is a sad reality. I mean, we have to face it. So we exist today only because our ancestors fought. If they didn't, we would be Muslims and doing namaz by now. And in burqas perhaps, and not covering up all our face too. So Shobhaji, but I completely agree with you as a woman and a mother. I completely agree. We need those peace, but then we have to fight and then the peace comes. I agree that we should have an organization to deal with things. So thank you so much, Shobhaji. And there was another person, Mr. Jaspal, wanted to ask a question. He had raised the hand also somewhere. I can't see him now, though. I don't know. And the question is not put up in the chat box too. But there's one interesting, actually, it came to my mind also. So there's one thing that people keep saying about this, about say stopping water or stopping those ships from going to Bangladesh or stopping water to Pakistan or something. What about the repercussions, or even for that matter, I can say now Nupur Sharma's statement on Mohammed, right? That was done on a provocation first. Now, why did our country bother to, take her or remove her from a party and then issue apologies to the Islamic nations? Because the Islamic nations have done far worse. They were having with them MF Hussein. What is the human rights record in those nations? So where is the point in bothering about what the international committee thinks. First, we have to think about what we need to do ourselves. What does Israel? Israel doesn't bother. For that matter, even China doesn't bother. For all the big things, I mean, how it treats the Uyghur Muslims, we all know they run all kinds of camps. I mean, who cares? The Islamic nations deal with them nicely, and nobody says anything. So that is what I had in mind about the international thing. So perhaps Amit ji can also speak about that. And there is one question here again from Anne Divakarla ji. He's saying, you say Shastra and Shastra, but is it time for every Hindu to pick up a sword and a gun? Be prepared. That is, he's saying, be prepared. That is, train with your guns or buy some kind of what do you call, licensed guns, or keep it as defense. Be prepared, he's saying. Is it time?
Yes. So actually, I can't vouch ki you have to carry sword or gun
I know.
every time. I think it is not also possible every time to
It's
carry
not.
with you to your
No.
office or to the market. It's not practical. But if you
Martial
are
arts.
if you are equipped with your martial art training, then it will be much more lethal or deadly than any arm.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree
So
with
you
you
have to,
completely.
yes, you have to invest your energy, and you have to invest your time, you have to invest your money into developing this this skills. Basically, every Hindu community or neighborhood can employ a martial art trainer जो हम लोगों के बच्चों को आके रोज सिखाए शाम को उनको कि ऐसे आपको जूडो सीखना है, आपको ऐसे कराटे सीखना है. So that will go in the long way. तो वो जो आजकल मोबाइल से जो चिपके रहते हैं, so that good get away from them मोबाइल से. So there will be a self defense technique also. And coming about to your question कि why we are afraid of the international repercussions or international concerns, because we are mentally weak, I must say. So because as you rightly said, neither China care for anyone, nor Israel care for anyone. Even Russia ने अटैक किया यूक्रेन पे, कुछ हुआ उसका? कुछ नहीं हुआ उसका. Even in fact the value of ruble has increased as compared to dollars by 25%. So it is a huge amount. So they are not able to control. तो जिसको जो पावरफुल है, जिसके पास स्ट्रेंथ है, वो कुछ भी कर सकता है. तो वही हमें भी करना है कि हम वी हैव टू शो कि वी आर पावरफुल. तो जब तक हम ये जो प्रोजेक्शन नहीं होगा, हमारे पास अगर स्ट्रेंथ है भी, तो वी हैव टू प्रोजेक्ट इट कि यस वी आर स्ट्रांग, वी आर कैपेबल ऑफ डिफेंडिंग अवरसेल्व्स, वी आर कैपेबल ऑफ डिफेंडिंग अवर पीपल. तो जब तक ये मैसेज नहीं जाएगा, तब तक जो है आपके ऊपर ऐसे ही आते रहेंगे. लीव अलोन यूएस गवर्नमेंट और यूके गवर्नमेंट, इवन स्मॉल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस लाइक एमनेस्टी हो गया, ग्रीन पीस हो गया, दे कीप ऑन लाफिंग एट अस, दे कीप ऑन लाफिंग एट अवर फेस्टिवल्स कि ये क्यों हो रहा है, वो क्यों हो रहा है, जबकि उनको वो बकरीद पे और क्रिसमस पे वो कुछ नहीं बोल पाते हैं. बट और अवर फेस्टिवल्स उनका कुछ ना कुछ हुआ है वो. सो वी हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी पावरफुल, वी हैव टू बी स्ट्रेंथ, वी हैव टू बी अल्टीमेटली इट बॉइल्स डाउन टू आई फॉर एन आई. तो जब तक वो नहीं होगा, तब तक हम लोग वीक रहेंगे, एंड वी विल बी परसीव्ड एज वीक. तो एक दो चीजें होती हैं, एक तो परसेप्शन एंड अनदर थिंग इज इन रियलिटी. So we have to remove both the things. We are neither weak nor we are willing to be perceived as weak.
What was told is that Qatar actually threatened to pull back on an Adani port project, if BJP did not axe Nupur Sharma. This is the kind of things Qatar, Qatar, and they're all the terrorist nexus, right, with the Turkey and our India's best neighbor, Pakistan. So that was why. And I think India should have ways of diplomatically saying, well, what about all the things you've done in the past? We have not asked for any apology. Our internal matter is our internal matter. And it was a rebuttal on an interview. And you see what they did initially to our Hindu gods. And nobody seems to be speaking up that way. I was wondering if we should have a Hinduism protection ministry. Because without that, this is not going to seeming to go anywhere. They want to have diplomacy before Hinduism. I think Hindus are losing their rights despite being majority in numbers. Somebody is waiting to speak.
Absolutely right, Shobhaji. We do need an Hinduism protection ministry, as you said. And Jaspalji, can you please go ahead and ask your question to the author, please? Amitji.
Yeah. So actually, like there is basically just one question, not to the, but of course, like first and foremost, thank you, Amit Agrawal ji, for taking out your valuable time doing the research and actually like getting all of us involved and passing on the knowledge. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. And actually, my question is basically to the audience, rather. Of course, there are many basically questions that were asked, and speaker has taken time to answer those. So some of my questions got answered. But my question to audience is like actually means please don't feel embarrassed actually. So the average age of the audience is like means I'm interested actually in bringing the younger generation. So where is the younger generation? Where is basically our kids? Because like I means the same question applies to me as well. I have the kids. I'm trying to involve them. Actually, I got involved in basically nationalist activities not very long ago. But the thing is, like, speaker has the knowledge. Actually, we are getting the knowledge. Actually, we might or may or may not pass on the knowledge to our younger generation, and maybe in a diluted manner. Actually, but if we bring our next generation to these talks, actually, like it'll be half the things done. Actually, whatever is being provided from as the knowledge from the speaker, actually it's very important for our younger next generation to get it, and the next generation. So that's my question to the audience. Thank you. Thanks for giving me a chance.
Exactly, what is your question? You made several statements.
Actually, the question basically was for to the audience, actually, not
Okay.
to the speaker, to you, Amitji.
Okay. So good morning.
Basically, it's a result. Yeah.
So good morning. Namaste ji. Namaste to everyone. This is Anu Divakarla. I've been posting some questions, but I thought I'll unmute myself and answer. So you're asking about how about the children from the audience? Well, I just have one kid. She's 13 years old. And I'm trying to bring in the awareness to her as much as possible, but we need to understand that children at this age, they have a mindset. If you tell them anything, mom, I think we all go through this. Oh, don't be a racist, mom. You shouldn't say something about, about other community like that. But, I think just to begin with, I'm making her listen to news channels. So the things are not just coming from me. I'm making her hear about conversations like this whenever I can, bits and pieces. It's slowly, we need to help them understand, bring the awareness to them about what's going around them, what they need to be prepared for. I started putting my daughter in martial training. Actually, she's going to get her karate, black belt in karate in next 1 year or 1.5 years. But I'm doing wherever I can do my part. But again, like the way he said, Hinduism has been teaching a lot of tolerance. We have not been teaching about Shastra. We've been only teaching about Shastra. But I think it's time we start teaching them about Shastra. And that's where I asked a question: has Hinduism actually taught us to be weaker humans? Has it taught men to be weaker human beings? Then they should be, because if you look at any other culture, especially the Stera community, how they protect the women, even though they have a lot of issues within, how women are so badly treated. But I think that's why I said it's time to teach both Shastra and Shastra to our children, and to have, to keep them prepared, because the worst is yet to come. So how do we prepare them for that?
Yeah, I think you have told everything yourself. So Shastra and Shastra is the mantra basically. So take your children to the temples every week, at least once a week, and the ancient temples too. The more ancient it is better, so that they can know the glory of our architecture, of our religion, of our culture, of our traditions. तो ये सब ancient temples में ही जाके मिलेगा. So it's very important that you visit far-flung ancient temples. So एक मैंने अपनी बुक में लिखा हुआ है कि जो भी हमारे जितने भी एंशियंट टेम्पल्स थे, वो सब ऐसी जगह पे बनाए गए जिससे कि हमारी भारतवर्ष की बाउंड्री जो है वो इनविजिबल बाउंड्री थी, वो जैसे बद्रीनाथ में था या फिर कैलाश मानसरोवर था. ये सब नॉर्थ बाउंड्री है. साउथ की अपनी एक रामेश्वरम है, So all these are invisible boundaries which has defined the Bharatvarsh in the whole. जो अब हमारे अफगानिस्तान में मंदिर थे, अफगानिस्तान में monasteries थी. So these are all the part of Bharatvarsh. So you have to take your children to the ancient temples. तो वो भी एक बहुत important aspect है जो कि हमको करना चाहिए. हमारे बच्चों को वही एक जो है वो pride करेगा. It will yeah, please carry on.
I just no, thank you, Amit. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but Anuji, of course, very spirited. I just want to place this, and I want to see how this group will approach. Now, internationally, also, I'm sure you all know about the Soros axis. They are doing the regime change in many countries. Yeah. And their idea is to incite 1,000 cuts, to incite a lot of violence, and then put up like a civil war situation in Bharat, to kind of show to the world, ye Hindus, they don't even know how to organize and rule themselves. And so this creation, this when we have self-defense, will it become big pockets of cauldron that is just bubbling with violence, that small pockets, if someone comes and attacks, you attack back? Just imagine, it's like a small mini warfare going on everywhere. How would that be feasible? Then we are in a civil war situation. And I think the government's trying to avoid that. But I agree completely. You cannot, what is called is kind of shoveling everything under the carpet. It's going to burst one day. But please, what are your thoughts from that angle? Because for people, if there is a civil war situation, that's exactly what they're waiting to jump on us for. So how do we kind of balance that for self-defense? I think we should first let the world know what the situation is. If we did not self-defend, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. Would you come and monitor us? Have monitoring agencies all over India, wherever you want to be. We don't, Hindus don't restrict. We have nothing to hide. And if you're there, probably it will protect some of the, a lot of the killings. So please do that, because then don't blame us for even taking self-defense. See, sometimes you have to play with them. If they're going to, they're waiting to kind of pounce on you and accuse you of inside violence, because what is happening is a one-sided narrative being pushed in America. Only the reaction. For example, there was a lot of pattarbazi. I think it was in Madhya Pradesh and Kanpur during Ram Navami festivals. And how in a street, the bikers went, and from top, all the stones and very sharp objects that hit the necks. What happened was, with CCTV, all these people were caught. And I think the government within a few days went and bulldozed those houses of those people. Now there is a narration here. They've written in mainstream that in India, Muslims' homes are being razed to the ground because of religion. But there was no mention that these folks who went in that lane, they were unarmed. All they were doing is a bike rally peacefully. They did not have a single weapon with them. And that is left out conveniently. And so they're only boosting what reaction the government's doing on them. So we have, I must say, I will admit it very humbly, modestly, that we have kind of fallen flat, not providing that narrative, that half, the missing link to the Western world. And I think we have to first provide that so that even our self-defense can be justified. I'm afraid otherwise Hindus are being portrayed as some violent kind of a community. And I'll give you an example. The Hindu students here who are of HSS are worried if they said that they were part of HSS, that they may not get a job. It's how bad the situation is in the US. So, what are your thoughts on that? How should we do this thing on self-defense in a balanced way?
So actually, this narrative pushing is basically a social media invasion. So, pale invasion, it was by the armies. Now it is by social media. So what is happening? They are invading, they are pushing the narrative, and we are just left to the reacting. So instead, we have to reverse invade. We have to we should be the first to push our narrative. You see, those people are doing this, and that's why they have been done. And we should force them to react. जब भी हम react करेंगे, we will be loser. Believe me, in the world over for the past 5,000 years, history is that 90% or 95% invaders have won. Only 5 or 10% of times defenders have won. So 90% the case they are with winnings are with them. So यहाँ पे भी हमें यही करना है कि we have to push our narrative. हमें पहले ही इसको वो हमें करना है न्यूज़पेपर्स में, सोशल मीडिया पे, you see these people are doing this, so that's why they are being punished like this. In America they could have been put to the gun, but in India only their homes are being bulldozed. So this type of narration, if you put out on the first place, then I think situation will be little different.
Yeah,
Because yeah.
Actually, yeah, Ravinder ji, I think wanted to speak. Can you please briefly say that, because we are nearly 90 minutes into the meeting, so we need to.
I will briefly say. I think this kind of narrative from the other side is organized, financed, and systematic, and it has been happening actually since 1800, actually even earlier. On our side, our failure is we have no systematic response, individual response. That will never work. That's all I have to say.
Rabinderji, thank you for joining. He's a very senior person, and it's very hard. I know I've tried in other meetings too. I'm Shobha. We have talked earlier. Hira Fatehdarji has had introduced, and it was very difficult to even get audience. I'm so glad he joined as well. But yeah, we need. I was going to say, can we have a Hindu Twitter Sena? I mean, globally, and if you can spearhead it from Bharat, nothing like it. And we should have, Hindu, really, this is, we are finding it sometimes we want to push even 1,000 likes, we are not able to get 1,000 retweets. Many don't know how to set up a Twitter account. We need to have it during Garba, Navratri Utsav, Diwali Utsav. Here is a workshop on how to sign up for Twitter and how to tweet. Really, our people are always in the mandir, in puja and in Garba and Diwali Ras. So, I think we should not celebrate any event, musical arts, without everybody signing up for some social media or something, because this is getting to be out of control. That's why I'm even suggesting it. So.
Yes, Shobhaji, you're very right that we all need to do something for our community. That is important community, that is in terms of protecting ourselves from the predators. That is very nice. Amit ji, a very, very nice interactive session. And Shobha ji and all other Ravinder ji and all other people, Divakarla ji and all other people joining here, very nice. Really nice to interact, and we had very good session. And Amit ji, your talks on history is very, very illuminating and stimulating too. And waiting to see more from you. Like, I would like to see you even write on Hindu movement history. I've been waiting. Analysis is needed on that end, because right from the beginning, what did our kings think? And till now, the Hindu Mahasabha, then the RSS, and till now, what is our thought? Have we really got it right anywhere? So looking for that from you too sometime. So thank you so much. And a very nice evening, a very stimulating talk. Thank you so much.
Gayatri ji, one second. I just want to thank Gayatri ji, Shobha ji, Divya ji, and Amit ji for this wonderful session. I just want to add one thing, that what I've seen and during the last few months during this movement is that women are actually raising their voices more than men. It's fortunate or unfortunate, I do not know, but I see the Nari Shakti, especially I've seen Shobha ji, Gayatri ji, Divya ji, these are very successful women, but they have to handle home, they have to handle children, they have to handle jobs, but they still come out and take their precious time. And the relentless job is sometimes just amazes me that, oh my God, you are the Shakti, you're the true Shakti of Hinduism. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Okay, thank you. It's very nice. Thank you. Namaskar to you all, and hope to see you all soon again next time and in another program. Thank you so much.
Do read my book also.
Yes,
thank you. We will certainly order your book. We will certainly order your book.
Yeah, certainly. People need to buy. I mean, reading Amit ji's book is very essential. We need to know our history first to plan for our future. So it's very important that we read Amit ji's book. So please do go and buy the book of Amit ji, or both his books on never-ending conflicts, as well as the sharp swords and swift horses,
Sharp
boats.
swords.
And Amit ji, is there any Hindi version? Like, because I am from North
Yeah,
India,
there
Haryana,
is.
so
Yes. Hindi version is 2. It's
Yeah,
available
please,
in Flipkart.
okay, right. So yeah. Because I'm from Haryana side, so I would like to distribute some as a gift.
Yeah, sure. Why not? So
That'd
you
be
can,
nice.
Thank you,
in fact, you can directly contact me also. So why
Sir, your
to,
number.
why to give the commission to Flipkart?
Yes, your number, sir.
I will message you.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Right.
And Gayatri ji knows my number. You can take him from her also. Yeah.
Yeah, you can leave it to the manager. Yeah, we can get you your Amitji's number. Pass on
Right.
Amitji's number to Manoj. Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much. Namaskar. And thank you, Amitji, for gracing here our program and talking about your book and this wonderful interactive session. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you. Good night.